Trevor Kavanagh. Hello, Trev.
Good morning, Kevin.
Well, look, first of all, I just thought this would be funny. We'll talk about Caerphilly and Plaid Cymru nudging reform into second place, but obviously Labour's humiliation. I was just looking at that well-known right-wing television outlet, Sky News. Their take on it was this. Nigel Farage nowhere to be seen as reform loses Caerphilly. The real story there, which is seismic, is Labour has lost it, and Labour has held that seat forever. It's held most of Wales forever. Reform gave them a good fight, but the Labour disappeared. The Tories were nowhere to be seen. I think we're seeing the beginning of a seismic change in Welsh politics, wouldn't you say?
And in British politics. I mean, that description of the way the poll went by the Sky TV political editor, I mean, that's the sort of spin that Alistair Campbell would be truly proud of. The simple fact is that, OK, reform didn't win, as it really did hope to do, but it came pretty well up there in an area which it didn't exist in until very recently. So it is entitled to be very pleased. Everyone else, apart from Plaid Cymru, is a loser, and a very, very bad loser too. I mean, Keir Starmer has gone from being a second-rate lawyer to a third-rate politician to an absolute catastrophic dud as a party leader and prime minister. And that message has finally filtered through to the voters right across Britain. And I think that we've been predicting that he cannot last, but he's lasted so far. This is the beginning of the real end of Keir Starmer.
And the axe will, if not finally fall, begin to really smash into his neck, won't it, at the local elections in May, where I think he's going to suffer some serious losses, especially in Wales. And going forward, when we finally get to a general election, hopefully before 29, but the feeling is that Wales will go to reform. So Keir Starmer and his acolytes have succeeded in losing an entire country that has, been absolutely steeped in Labour support literally forever. So why do you think this is happening, Trevor, in Wales in particular?
Well, I think Wales is the real litmus test of Labour's popularity. This, as you say, has been literally their home turf for more than a century. And it's been held by some of the giants of the political party over that period. To lose Caerphilly is to lose this seat is. It cannot be overstated how bad and how serious this is, not just for Starmer, who is, as we say, a failure from beginning to end, but for the Labour Party, which has got just about everything wrong since it took office last year. And it is at such odds with the rest of the British public on almost every single issue, on welfare, on the economy, on tax, and especially on immigration. And this is where Nigel Farage, literally out of nowhere, although of course we've had Nigel in the background over a number of issues over the years, but to build a party from scratch, which it is really, and turn it into a threat to the government and a genuine threat to the Conservative Party, which we haven't mentioned so far, but has done very badly too in Caerphilly. That's an amazing result.
Yeah, and what will be going on in Westminster? I don't know if you've still got your tentacles working in the Westminster bubble, but what will be going on behind closed doors at Number 10 and in Labour Towers? They must now be talking about doing something about Keir Starmer. He's the steward. He's the architect of this disastrous decline and fall. They must be talking about replacing him, if not sooner, later, yes?
Well, this has been going on, as you will know, Kevin, for almost as long as Keir Starmer's been Prime Minister. The loss of so many top names, not least Peter Mandelson, which was an unforced error of catastrophic proportions, but, the number of cabinet ministers who have been dumped for nefarious reasons, or allegedly nefarious reasons. They have been a signal of what's going on behind the scenes, the discontent with his leadership, but also the policies that they don't really believe in the Labour Party, and a party which is at odds, frankly, with its members. And Morgan McSweeney, who is the man who masterminded Starmer's miraculous emergence as a potential leader all those years ago, is struggling, I think, to hold everything together.
And of course, we've got the Rachel from Accounts, her budget from hell coming up in November, where it's quite clear she's going to break all of her promises. She's going to tax us left, right and centre, including income tax, we now understand, penny on the pound. So she's going to break that promise. A story came my way last night. I mean, so they need this money. And a story came my way last night that one expenditure is going to be this. We're talking about foreign aid. This government is going to send £111 million to Pakistan to pay for condoms. It's a family planning program in Pakistan. So she says, oh, we need the money. You know, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to break my promises, but we really need the money. What? To give Pakistan £111 million for condoms? I mean, it's this kind of incoherence that I think is really beginning to tick people off. They've had enough of this. You know, you say you're broke and you need this money, and then we find out you're giving £111 million to Pakistan for condoms, among all sorts of other unnecessary expenditure, of course, constant pay rises for the public sector and so on and so forth. So it's not so much that they need the money, it's what they need the money for. We find out what they're spending it on, and this, of course, is contributing to this government's tremendous unpopularity. Yes,
and these condoms for Pakistan aren't even going to stop any cousin marriages out there, is it? The big problem is that they don't know what to do with the money. They know the public sector's forever hungry, and they're feeding it the monster. They're going to have to feed more when these doctors go on strike, because people sympathise with doctors, although they've got this completely wrong. They are asking for far too much after having already been given quite a lot. So the feeding the public sector, offering them the pay rises that they're demanding, encourages them to keep asking for more and going on strike to get it. But the way that the money that we have to give up as taxpayers is being squandered by governments of all colours, not just the Labour Party, although the Labour government is possibly the worst in history, but all governments have decided that they could simply turn on the taps and buy votes through public sector spending. And it isn't working, and the public has woken up to it.
Absolutely not. And the other problem with Labour is cultural. It is their continuing kowtowing to the Islamic community to an absurd extent, because they are so obsessed with the Muslim vote. So Nigel Farage has signalled his support for a burqa ban. In fact, he wants to ban all face coverings for security and, I think, cultural reasons. Nobody, I think, in this country or Brits don't like the idea of an article of clothing that signifies women being inferior creatures to men. That's what it's all about. So we don't like it for cultural reasons, but also for security reasons. The Tories characteristically can't make up their mind. Kemi will no doubt make a song and dance of it in about 2 years, saying, I've finally decided we are going to ban the burqa, like she finally decided to leave the ECHR about a year after everyone else. So they can't make up their minds. But of course, Labour won't do anything about the burqa because to ban it might offend the Muslim community, and this sort of them constantly being enthralled to Muslims is a serious problem when it comes to the grooming gang inquiry. The girls, the victims, several of whom I've spoken to this week, 4 have resigned from their role on the victims panel this week, saying that what they wanted the public inquiry to do, quite reasonably in my view, was to focus on the perpetrators, the gang members who are and were we should say are because they're still operating, mainly Muslim men of Pakistani heritage. And the government has made it clear to these girls, oh, we want to widen the remit. We don't necessarily want to focus in on that. And the girls are going, no, no, no. We do want to focus in on it. Why don't the government want to focus in on the ethnicity and the religion of the perpetrators, of the gang members, because they're Muslims, and that might upset the Muslim vote. This craven pursuit of the Muslim vote is turning this Labour government into a disaster, I think, culturally.
Yes, and just going back to the burqa ban, I think that this is a vote winner for Nigel Farage and Reform. But I think they could win even more votes if they extended it to, say, Deliveroo drivers who ride around looking like some alien species, dressed top to toe in black with masks across their faces and hoodies over their heads and caps. I mean, they cannot be identified as they deliver things to people's homes. I think they're very intimidating and should be banned as well by Deliveroo under instructions from a government. As for the gang rape, which it is, it's not grooming. It's
rape gang, yeah.
These are, I mean, it's a hideous story dating back many years involving many thousands of young girls, and it's still going on right across the country and indeed here in London, despite the protests to the opposite of Genghis Khan in Mayor of London. But
it's Sadiq Khan, Trevor, not Genghis.
Sorry, Sadiq Khan. But the thing is that this is a cover-up from a government which is running scared, as you suggest, from the Muslim votes on which it has relied and depended for years. I mean, it probably wouldn't have had the landslide it now has if it hadn't been for those sections of the community. It relies on them, and they are actually now asserting themselves in a way which means that Labour cannot rely on them because they're setting up their own MPs, and they will probably have a couple of dozen in Parliament after the next election, whatever happens, whoever wins the overall majority. And they will be the tail that wags the dog in Parliament from that moment onwards.
Indeed. Let's quickly finish, if we can, on our old favourite, the migrant crisis, specifically the one in, one out ongoing farce, le farce, as we now call it. So the score is, since we launched this incredible scheme, this deterrent, in early August, that we've sent 46 migrants to France and they've sent 18 back here. Meanwhile, 11,000 migrants have crossed the channel illegally, so it's not working as a deterrent. And of course, we learned this week, hence Le Farce headlines, that one of these migrants that we sent back to France on the one in, one out scheme promptly went back to Calais and got on an illegal rubber dinghy and came back to Britain. And the fact that he was caught coming back to Britain has prompted David Lammy, the Deputy Prime Minister, to say this proves that the one in, one out scheme is working. He actually said is working a treat. David Lammy needs psychiatric help, doesn't he?
Well, he needs a different job altogether, and nothing to do with politics, preferably, or any other contact with the public. I think that the current rate, by the time we get rid of this ghastly government, if we can call it that, we will have probably 100 to 150,000 more people in this country from countries like Afghanistan and Pakistan than we had when it took office, or even from this point on. So what are we going to do with them? We can't just... I mean, it would take months and years to deport all of those asylum seekers who, by the very nature of coming across illegally, should have been deprived of the right to claim asylum, which is what they are pretending they're thinking of doing. They will do nothing. We will simply be lumbered for as long as this government is in office with vast numbers of people who are not necessarily friendly to our communities.
Exactly right. Last line, actually. Let's talk about, very quickly, Trevor, if we can, the problem of left-wing judges. I'm just reading a story in today's Telegraph. An asylum seeker with a receding hairline. He was a smoker, stubble, deep voice, visible Adam's apple, receding hairline, with grey hair, came here and said he was a child. Derby City Council, very eagle-eyed, said, well, you look like you're probably a middle-aged guy. You know, you're balding and your grey hair and you're smoking, your deep voice, stubble. Well, he said, no, I am a child. So he's appealed to the courts. And this appeal, as decided by Judge Gaynor Bruce of the Upper Tribunal of the Immigration and Asylum Chamber, has agreed that this bloke is a child. I mean, it's just, we've got a real problem with these idiot judges, haven't we?
He's got to show us that he's done his GCSEs, hasn't he? I mean, look, nobody believes these stories except the judges. And
the judges, yes.
They only believe it because that's their political bent. They don't believe in borders themselves. They think that anyone who wants to come should be allowed in. That's the essence of their attitude towards this problem. And nothing is going to be done by this government, not whether Starmer is Prime Minister or whoever takes over from him. And what we've unfortunately landed ourselves with, Kevin, is the worst possible government at the worst possible moment in the history of Britain.
Well, on that upbeat note, Trevor, it's always a privilege to have you on the show. Thank you very much for your time. Trevor Kavanagh, there, former political editor and current columnist at The Sun.